My name is Mark Viator. I'm a psychologist and an LPC by training. What I do for a living, though, is I travel all across the United States, probably 40 to 45 weeks out of the year as a healthcare consultant. I work with developmental disability, substance abuse, and mental health agencies all across the United States. So, do I know a little bit about OCD? Yeah, you're going to find out that I probably have OCD. I have ADHD. I've got all the D's that you can have behind your name. The thing we got to remember, if I can get this to work, and the clicker ain't working. Let's see. There we go. I just kind of walk back and forth. The thing you need to remember is that all of us, by human nature, are a little OC to begin with. Okay? For example, I'm gone a lot, but when I'm home, there's 4 doors to my house to get in. Every night before I go to bed, guess what I do? I go and I check the locks. Now, do I stand on one foot, hop up and down, and say, 20 Hail Marys while I check the locks? No, but I check the locks. If I go to bed and I forget to check the locks, do I get up out of bed and go check the locks? Yes, I do. Does it make my wife angry? Yes, it does. Do I do it sometimes just to tick her off? Yes, I do. Does it mean that I have OC? Does it mean that I have a disorder? No, it's a behavior, okay? My mama, there's a lot of craziness in that woman, okay? We grew up in a big old farmhouse, okay? It was on my grandpa's farm. We had no central heating, no central air, big window units, gas heaters that probably could have blown up 20 times. But my mother believed that the toaster, that inside that toaster was possessed by Satan. So if we left home and that toaster was not unplugged, that house was going to blow up. Forget that it was gas heaters and 20, open line 220s on the air conditioners. I can't tell you how many times we were backing out of the car. Let me tell you, my mama had a pimp ride back in the 70s and 80s. 2-tone big Delta 98 Oldsmobile, white leather, ostrich top. I mean, we looked good rolling back in. White walls, too. She's back in that garage, out of the garage. We're in the driveway, and she'll ask us one of us, did y'all unplug that toaster? And we got out of that car to go and plug that toaster. So I get married several years later. Matter of fact, last week was my 25th wedding anniversary. Thank you, thank you. She got sainthood for 25 years of being married to me. So that's a Catholic joke right there. Anyway, we had been married all of about, 6 days. We're leaving our little apartment. We're getting ready to go somewhere. And I tell my wife, hold on, we'll be right back. She looks at me, she says, if you go on and unplug the toaster, you just go ahead and call a lawyer, because I ain't married to crazy mama. Now, mama has a thing about the toaster. Does that mean it's a disorder? No, it's a behavior, okay? It doesn't necessarily interfere with the way we function. I have one more up here, because, and it's not about checking your car. See, we've been doing these yellow ribbons 4 or 5 years now. And in addition to working with post-appointment, we work with the kids a lot. My business partner, he's a social worker. He and I, a lot of times in the afternoon, will work with the kids and kind of talk about how was it before mom and dad went away for the appointment, how is it since they've been back, kind of making it smooth for them. We had one kid said, I don't know why he does this, but since he got back, if he's in the passenger side of the car and mama's driving and we get to a 4-way or a red light, he'll look to the left, he looks to the right, he looks back to the left, and goes check, clear, and then he lets her drop off. I said, I bet you it has something to do with what went on over there, like for bombs or whatever, but I said, is it a disorder? No, it doesn't necessarily interfere. So remember, all of us are a little OCD to begin with. I want y'all to think about this. For a prolonged period of time, all of you were in what we would call a pretty high stressful situation. All of you are highly trained, all of you are highly intelligent. But you were put into a situation where everything had to go a certain way. Because it had to go that way in order for your safety and to do what you needed to do. Well, in the real world, it doesn't necessarily always work that way. Because you come from a high, stressful situation where everything is trying to be as organized as possible, back to what we call the real world, and the way we've been functioning sometimes can kind of not be the way that it should be for us. As if I hit this one. There we go. So what's an obsession? Well, an obsession, if you look at it, it's involuntary. You can't stop it. It's uncontrollable. It's either a thought, an image, or an impulse that goes through our mind. We all have them from time to time. problem is that it continually goes on. When the obsession just starts to take over. Here's the kicker about it, though. Because y'all are all highly intelligent, we know it makes no sense for me to fear this. It makes no sense for me to worry about whether my doors are locked. It makes no sense for me to have to look left, right when I'm back at home at a four-way stop. We know that, but our mind just keeps going on and on. Now, being human beings and being pretty smart, we say to ourselves, well, I can fix this. If I have an obsession or something that's causing me anxiety and a thought that keeps going on and on, we pretty much say, I know what I can do. And it leads to the compulsion, okay? What the compulsion is the fix for the obsession. And here's the sad thing, it works for a little while. Because we come up with something that'll stop that thought, stop that impulse, and it's usually a ritual. It's some kind of action that we do. For example, my mama, every time we got in the car, I don't know why, but she counted her fingers backwards and forwards. Now, I told you there was a lot of craziness in that one, okay? But we come up with these actions, and for a while it works. But then for a while, after a while, it doesn't work as well. Let me give you an example. Let's say that I drink, okay, which I do. But let's just say that I drink. And you know, I decide that every day when I get home from work, I'm gonna drink 2 Budweisers. It's just 2 Budweisers. So about the first 5 or 6 days I come home from work, I drink my 2 Budweisers, and I kind of like the way it makes me feel. I feel all right, it helps me relax. Well, about on the 7th day, I notice that I don't feel as relaxed after my 2nd Bud. So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna fix the problem. I'm gonna drink a 3rd one. And then after a week of drinking 3 every day, I'm up to 4. Before you know it, I'm buying a case and the Bud truck is coming to the house to make a delivery at some point. But when we start with the obsession and we go to the compulsion, it works for a little while. But then we have to keep raising the bar and raising the bar. I have an example, and I can't tell you the whole story due to time, but I'll give you an example of somebody that I had in private practice. Called him Hail Mary Boy. He came to me when he was in the 7th grade. This kid was doing 20 to 22 hours a day, locked up in his room, saying the Hail Mary. It had started 14 months earlier when his mom was diagnosed with cancer. He prayed the Hail Mary every day for her so she would get better. A lot of power in prayer. But it went from saying 1 Hail Mary to saying 10 Hail Marys to saying thousands and thousands of them a day, because in his mind, if he didn't do it, she'd get sick again. So, you know, a little 14-year-old little fella, good kid, all of a sudden in about 14 months, went from living, you know, the normal teenager thing to basically 20 to 22 hours staying in his room in a constant state of prayer. Because in his mind, he couldn't turn it off. And I know you're saying, Mark, that's a kid. Remember, I'm an adult. I'm highly, highly trained. We'll talk about that. All right, guys, y'all not going to get much out of this weekend. We already know that. No, y'all are going to probably have a great weekend here at this New Orleans, all right? But you get to go home knowing the formula for life. So if you get anything out of this, you can go home and say, I know the formula for life. Formula for life is A plus B equals C. A is I need some money. B, I get a job. C, I got my cash. A is I want a career. So B, I go to college. I go get some training. Boom, I got my career. A is I want to serve my country. I enlist. I get to serve my country. A plus B equals C. That's how it's always supposed to work. Well, the problem with obsessive compulsive disorders, when we go away from a behavior, like checking a couple of locks or unplugging a toaster, to where we're held up in a room for 22 hours a day saying the Hail Mary over and over, we changed our formula to A plus B equals D. What is the D? Well, the D is dysfunctionality. Because let me tell you, with obsessive compulsive, if it transforms from a behavior, remember we're all a little OC, but if it transfers over from a behavior to the disorder, that's when you have a problem. That's when it interferes with your day-to-day living. Now, remember what I said earlier. All of you were in a high stressful situation for a prolonged period of time. Things were set in very, very specific order for you to do it, for your own safety and the well-being of everybody else. That's fantastic. Except when you come back to here, it doesn't always work that way. So we go from A plus B equals C in some situations, now we come back here and suddenly it's not a C anymore, it's A plus B equals D. So what do we have to look out for? Well, here's some top, the top what I call common ones, okay? The most common obsession is the fear of contamination, germs, okay? I'll give you two quick examples. Well, first off, we should all, be a little fearful. Like my surgeon, I would want him or her washing their hands before they cut me open, okay? But all of you, anybody stayed in this hotel last night? Slept in a hotel room? Okay, I sleep in hotel rooms about 200 to 220 nights a year. Hotels, I'm not saying the Hyatt is because I don't want to get sued. Hotels are the nastiest places in the world, okay? You don't want to know what's in those rooms. We stay in hotels day after day after day. On my life on the road, I'm not worried about necessarily coming home with germs, okay? You do what you got to do. But everybody knows Howie Mandel? Okay, the deal or no deal guy. He's very obsessive compulsive. Contamination is his big thing. He works for MGM. He's got a contract with them and he does all their tour circuits. So I had a contract with MGM a couple of years ago to train their HR people. And I asked the guy from the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, how in the world did you get somebody like Mandel to stay in a hotel like yours? And he said, look, I'm gonna tell you, it's top secret. So he told me. And he says, just please don't tell what we do. So he told me. So here's what they do, okay? Mandel meets them at the door to his suite. Housekeeping comes up, gloved up, like going into surgery. In front of him, they have to open a bag that has white hot towels. He has to see steam come out of it. They open the door and they lay white towels to the bed, to the bathroom, to the desk, and they change him every hour. He will not sleep in the bed. He sleeps on top of the bed, and it's like zipped up suit thing, okay? Now, I'm not trying to make fun of him. He's probably become one of the best advocates for obsessive compulsive disorders. Because he'll tell you, yeah, it's mess. Well, somebody asked me, I saw this guy in the studio interview, and he says, man, you're using this OC stuff to kind of get sympathy, and look, you're a very successful multimillionaire. He goes, no, I'm a failure. And he said, well, how can you be a failure? He says, well, I got 2 kids. He said, how would you like to be in fear of ever hugging your child? I don't touch my kids because I'm afraid of the contamination. So you see, we can take something that's as simple as hugging a child, and if it leads to that obsessiveness, he's at A plus B equals D. He looks successful on the outside. He's a very intelligent person, but he's at A plus B equals D, and he recognizes that. Here's some of the other ones. The fear of harming self, others, orders of things, symmetry. Certain people, I've worked with a lot of folks that have obsessive compulsive disorders, and when they come in, I'll ask them, describe your house for me. And some people say, well, I live in a brick house, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. These people go into, in the right-hand corner in the living room, there's a chair, and that chair is at a 35-degree angle, and everything has to be in a certain way. Superstitions, religious ideals. I didn't check on this hotel. I doubted if there's a 13th floor. Most high hotels don't have it. They really do. It's called floor 14, okay? But that's the 13th. If you look on some planes, there is no row 13 on certain aircraft, all because of the superstition. Here's a true story on this one. Let's say that I gamble, okay? Which I do. But let's say that I gamble. And we were, y'all starting to see the problems here, huh? We were actually in Las Vegas playing what's called 3-card poker, okay? That's poker for guys. It's 3 cards, come on. And a lady got trips, which is the highest hand you can get, trip 6s. She refused the payout. The payout was $750. Why did she refuse it? Because it was the number 666, the number of the beast. I looked at the dealer, I said, push it my way, I'll deal with it later. Right here. But she felt, if I take that payout, that's evil money. Does it mean she has a disorder? I think she did. It's $750, okay? What's some of our common compulsions? Well, excessive checking. I had a client that came to me one time, very intelligent individual, okay? He was calling his wife every 90 seconds to every 3 minutes. because a year prior he'd come home late from work one night. She had had an accident in the house and she was severely hurt, and he blamed himself for not calling to check on her. So he went from, I got to make sure she's safe, to hitting that speed dial about every 90 seconds to talk to her. They were getting ready to end their marriage. And it didn't take long for it to go from, I'm going to check on you once in a while, to speed dialing you every 90 seconds. Other things, bathing rituals, hoarding. Y'all seen this show, Hoarders, right? Which I think is just absolutely horrible, horrible show, because they're making plight of you know, somebody, these people are truly mentally ill, okay? And I'm not saying that if you keep certain things, but tell me why I need 500 copies of the Times-Picayune from May 23rd, 1971, okay? And just because I may need those sometimes. So people say, well, I gotta have it, I gotta have it, I gotta have it, I gotta have it. There's another one, and you say, well, you know, you told us a story about this kid, but remember, we're all adults here, we're highly intelligent, well-trained. Well, most attorneys, and if there's any attorneys in now, I'm going to go ahead and apologize now. We all know that most attorneys are snakes. But they usually are. No, actually, one of my best friends is an attorney, and he's a snake. But they are. They're highly intelligent people. Now, went to school, got a Juris Doctor. I mean, pretty intelligent. Well, I had a guy sent to me by his firm because they were getting ready to, and he was a full partner. They were getting ready to cut him out. Because Bob, not his real name, his real name, no, he believed that an attorney had to look the part. See, he grew up dirt poor in Mississippi, struggled his way through law school, 250, I think he finished 249 out of the class, so I mean, he graduated, and he got in with an old firm. These were some old gentlemen who dressed in the Brooks Brothers double-breasted suits and all this. So they instilled in Bob, if you're going to be successful as an attorney, you must look that way. And Bob came up with this ritual every morning that started with the washing of the hair all the way down to the tying of the shoes. And if he messed up any time in the routine, he started it all over again. The first time I saw Bob, he was 25 minutes late for a noon appointment with me. He had been in the bathroom since 5 o'clock that morning trying to get ready. Some days, he said he'd just walk out at 6 in the evening and just go back to bed because the day would, but he had been in that bathroom for 12, 13 hours that day trying to look the part. So you see, A plus B equals C? Not always. And I know you say, well, okay, it's an attorney. I mean, come on. I know you guys are highly trained, but remember, you were in a high stressful situation for a prolonged period of time. Things that were A plus B equals C back then don't necessarily correlate to A plus B equals C right now. So, what do we do? Well, first let's talk about what not to do. Please don't self-medicate. That's, believe it or not, in my private practice, when I was in private practice, people who were sent to me for obsessive compulsive things came in as substance abusers first. Why? Well, they did the old Budweiser therapy, okay? And it just got out of control, or they were, you know, popping handfuls of pills and those types of things to help lessen the anxiety. So self-medication is not going to work. Both licit and illicit drugs, alcohol, all it does is it makes the D a whole lot bigger. So we go from A plus B equals D to A plus B equals capital D. The other thing is not to do it, and I have them separated because, look, the alcohol and the drugs, that's something usually we say, okay, I'm gonna try this. But you've got other people in your life that you need to pay attention to, okay? Because what we've always said is that a deployment is not just the soldier, it's the entire family. And so when the soldier returns, the whole family has to go through this. So if you have folks who are telling you, you really might want to get this checked out. We got 5 minutes? Okay, good. You really might want to get this checked out. Don't ignore them. Because all it does is it makes the D bigger and bigger. You know, if somebody is saying, you know, it's not the right thing to not want to leave the house ever. Because I had a client not that long ago, a soldier, and that's what we were dealing with. We had one little girl that says when we were talking to him, She said, when my dad now sits his back, he'll never put his back to the door. If we go to the restaurant or something, he always sits in the chair where he can see everything. Is it a disorder? No, it's a behavior. And the little girl sitting next to her just breaks out in tears, and that's when I find out, since Daddy had been out back, Daddy hadn't left the house in 3 months because he was too afraid to go out. That's when it goes from A plus B equals C to A plus B equals D. And the wife was after him to get help. You know, the other thing not to do is try to fix it on your own, coming up with the obsessions and the compulsions. Because remember, they only get bigger and bigger and bigger as we go. And what does it do? It consumes you. So what should we do? Well, guys, there's therapy. Now, look, I'm going to tell you, I'm not trying to diagnose anybody in here. I'm not saying you have obsessive compulsive disorder. I am saying, though, that you were in a high stressful situation for a prolonged period of time. And that usually can be one of the predecessors to obsessive compulsive behaviors becoming a disorder, where it becomes a D. So if you're going through the rituals, or if you know yourself, you know, man, I really shouldn't be thinking this, or shouldn't be acting this way, seek out some help. There's plenty of resources out here this weekend for you to seek out. Therapy works, and I'll explain to you what we do in just a second. Medications. Remember I said no self-medication, okay? Medications is not the answer. However, they do help sometimes. A lot of times, if I have somebody that comes in with OCD, their anxiety is so high that I gotta lower that anxiety. And I can't necessarily lower it just with a behavior, making them do something to lessen that anxiety. So that's when the medication comes in. Our goal always, though, is if we put you on a medication, our goal is to get you off of the medication as quickly as possible. But it lets the anxiety lower so we can take a look at what's going on with the OCD and we can treat it, okay? However, before it gets to the big D, if you're recognizing it, there's tons of self-help stuff out there. Relaxation tapes, the DVDs, there's all, you know, don't take this with a grain of salt, okay? Don't Google, you know, OCD treatment, because you're going to get like 15 million websites, okay? And some of them out in Sri Lanka, go see a guru up on a mountaintop, and they all want your credit card number, okay? Be careful what you look for. The way it's really treated is we do something that's called exposure therapy, okay? And no one has ever died from exposure therapy. I've had people threaten to kill me while I'm doing exposure therapy with them, but they've never died. But what it is I confront your ritual. I confront your belief. And I make you see that it's irrational. It just doesn't make sense to be doing this. And it clicks. And so we go from A plus B equals D to A plus B equals C. And I've done it with lots and lots of people. With Attorney Bob, I wasn't going into his bathroom to do exposure therapy. There's just something that sounds wrong about that, okay? But what we did is I got his wife involved, and we set timers for him to do a certain, but if he messed up in the ritual, he couldn't go back. So what we would do was when he brushed his teeth, that was the first thing, the wife took the toothbrush and went hide it. When he shaved the face, she took the razor. Now, I could really go into details, guys, because it was a lot of 27 strokes this way, 15 up. I mean, it was down to a science. We were lucky. The first 3 days he got through his routine, no problem. The fourth day, he messed up shaving. So here he was, half a face with shaving cream, holding a razor, but he was supposed to go back and brush his teeth. So Bob had to make a choice. I either get in my car, drive to Walmart, go buy a toothbrush, and come back and start the ritual, or I shave my face. Well, Bob shaved his face. We got him down now to where it's about 45 minutes in the bathroom, and he still looks like a sharp return, okay? But it works, okay? So if you're thinking to yourself, hey, look, I've got something going on here, or you start to recognize some of the things we talked about, if it's causing a problem, do something about it. It does not go away. If you ignore it, it only gets worse. You don't want to do the A plus B equals D. All of you put your life out on the line for our country. All of the families sacrificed for this. We got to get you to A plus B equals C all the time. And remember, guys, the sooner you do it, the sooner you recognize it, the easier it is